Hello, welcome to Spell Day. We're covering a spell every single day of the year from the 5e PHB +3. Those sorcery spells are homebrew spells. We're at +2 at the moment. You can head back in the playlist to find them. And today's spell is Searing Smite. First level evocation, casting time for 1 bonus action, range of self, components verbal, duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. The next time you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack during the spell's duration, your weapon flares with white-hot intensity, and the attack deals an extra 1d6 fire damage to the target and causes the target to ignite in flames. At the start of each of its turns until the spell ends, the target must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 1d6 fire damage. On a successful save, the spell ends. If the target or creature within 5 feet of it uses an action to put out the flames, or if some other effect douses the flames, such as the target being submerged in water, the spell ends. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the initial extra damage dealt by the attack increases by 1d6 for each slot level above first. Ooh, that upcast hurts it. Namely in the fact it's not buffing the damage over time. So, alright, bonus action, self, verbal, it's a lot of the smite qualities that we get, even the concentration part of it, a lot of the smite spells. So really, it's always going to be compared to just the base class feature of smite. And that's usually based to its extra utility or some other additional effect. So you have things like Blinding Smite, you have things like Banishing Smite. Those two, well, I mean, they do what's in their name, blind and banish. Banish really well. But when it comes to Searing Smite, it just does more damage. And not all at once. And not even guaranteed more. So, alright. Adding your base d8s for a first level smite. Already outclassing a d6, but the benefit is, oh, don't worry, it sets them on fire. They're gonna be burning an additional d6 every round. About that, it's a con save, which as we brought up before, a lot of monsters have high con. And second, it's at the start of their turn, not the end. Meaning they have a chance to save out of the extra damage, which you were casting the spell in the first place, before it actually kicks in. And that's only the round you hit them and the start of their next turn. And if it doesn't end on their initial turn, good for you! The issue is they also have other means of stopping it, so which other fire effects, like from fire elementals, it doesn't come up that often, but it's priority of action economy on, okay, what are you dousing? Because, yes, submerging yourself in water, having another ally come over and pat you down, or you yourself patting yourself down with an action. The fact those options are open to you, and as a paladin, you're using one of your few spell slots. That's a bit debatable on... Because if it did more damage per round, like if it was d8s, that might be enough worth it. That's not that bad. d6, however... Because the issue is you're also using concentration on both prepping for the attack and after. So the benefit of Banishing Smite, which up there, is the fact that when you hit the creature and it did pull off the banishment, unlike the banishing spell, banishment, you didn't have to hold concentration after. It's just holding concentration until you make contact. Then they make their saves, and the damage dice, and if they fail, they're gone. They're just gone, and the spell ends. With this, you're holding concentration as you cast it, waiting until you can hit something. The first round of damage goes in guaranteed, the additional d6. Then after that, you're still holding concentration. So whatever the remainder of that spell time is how long at max you can keep on the target. So if you're late into a combat and you cast this ahead of time before running in, you might only have 4 rounds max of the spell. If you were holding it as a sneak attack or waiting to ambush as the clock's ticking back. And that's if they don't just pass the save next turn. On their turn, the start of their turn. And then the upcasting. Just go for initial damage, because the benefit of banishment is the fact you're sacrificing some of the damage of just the damage smite feature for an additional effect. The additional effect of Searing Smite is more damage and not guaranteed more damage. And only on the later rounds, because if you just use a higher level spell slot on Searing Smite, it's only the initial d6 damage adds up. An initial d8 on a smite, a base smite, might just be better. Similar to the cantrip thing on, it can't just do damage, because the big thing that does damage is almost always going to outclass it, Firebolt and a lot of other cantrips. With this, it's the base Paladin Smite, and what effect can it add on top of that? And when your effect is more damage, but it's not guaranteed, and has a lot of ways of stopping it, and still holds concentration, yeah, no. 3 out of 10. Because it does still have a best case scenario, and just burning a first level spell slot to tick away, it's alright. Especially if something's vulnerable to fire, but it's the 3. 3 is already pretty harsh. It's already way down. But no, it's not the best of the smites. Because you're asking for more damage and not guaranteed. And the damage per turn doesn't even tick up with upcasting, which I know isn't common in the spells in the first place. But man, does this spell need it to already be reducing the initial damage dice. It needs it in comparing it to a class ability. In a vacuum, it's alright. Compared to Smite, base Smite, the class ability, and other Smite spells, which these are all fighting for the slots, which Paladin's a half caster, it's at 3.